Growing up, one of my favorite movie franchises to watch was Friday the 13th. Sure, it's cheesy, sure, it's over the top, sure, there's unnecessary boobs in it, but it was fun. It was nonsensical violence with somewhat of a plot. You know, the way Jason came to be is pretty interesting in the first 3 films, and then everything just kind of went over the top. It was more about Jason, the character, murdering different teenagers than it was the backstory. But still, they're fun movies to watch. Even today, I enjoy watching all of them. And as far as video game adaptations goes, you would think we would have a lot, but all we have is the NES game Friday the 13th. Sure, Splatterhouse took some inspiration from Jason himself, but as far as official games with Friday the 13th, you have the NES game. Now, the NES game was fun. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, but you never got to play as Jason. You were always trying to escape Jason in typical NES fashion. So with Friday the 13th coming out on PS4, Xbox One, and Steam, is this the game that Friday the 13th fans have always wanted? Does it satisfy all of the needs that Friday the 13th fans have? And most importantly, is Friday the 13th worth it? Let's find out in this video. So there are 2 main gameplay formats in Friday the 13th. One where you play as Jason and one where you play as a camp counselor. We'll talk about the camp counselor first and then we'll get into the Jason aspect because honestly, you'll be playing as the camp counselor most of the time. So the way the game works is 8 people get into a room, 7 of them are camp counselor, teenagers, whatever you want to call them, and one of the characters is Jason Vorhees. Now as a camp counselor, it's pretty fun, surprisingly. I figured that that would be very boring, but they made it interesting enough to where it's fun to keep playing. So basically what your main goal is to avoid Jason. There's a certain time limit. If you can last the whole time limit, you will succeed and you won't die, and you'll get extra experience points, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But beyond that, there are main objectives to avoid Jason. So for instance, there's a boat that you can get, and in order to use the boat, you have to find the motor for the boat, and you have to find gasoline. Where do you find these items? In different cabins. So you're constantly searching different cabins, trying to locate these items. You can also get weapons. And yes, you're not going to be able to kill Jason, although they say there is a way to kill him. You can actually defend yourself. So if Jason catches you or gets close to you, you could stun him, you could use a bear trap on him. There are definitely ways to survive, and I like the way they balance that aspect of the game. I really felt that once once Jason got a hold of you, you were pretty much screwed. That's the impression I got when you went into the game, but you actually can survive. And many times I've escaped Jason's death grip and made it onto the other side. So like I said, something like the boat, you can also call in to the police and run to their arms and be rescued. Or there's a vehicle that you can access when you get a battery, gasoline, and of course the car key. Now, it's interesting the way the game plays out when you're one of the camp counselors because there seems to be 2 frames of mind. Either everyone wants to try to work together or you could be a lone wolf. And I've actually had success with both gameplay styles, which I really liked. One time I teamed up with a couple other people, we got in the car and we escaped. One time I decided to just go vigilante, find all the boat pieces and then escape on the boat and then watch everyone else have to suffer and escape from Jason. So that's a really cool aspect of the game. Now there are ways that the character, that Jason can sense the character, which we'll talk about more when we talk about Jason. But basically when you do stuff, it makes noise. And when you make noise, there's a little thing that Jason can sense you with and he'll be drawn to you. So you gotta stay quiet. Stealth is definitely the best option with this game, but you can use it to misdirect him as well. So that's pretty cool. Honestly, the camp counselor section is pretty fun. I thought it would be very limited, but I had a blast playing it, which is good because like I said, more than likely you're going to be playing as the camp counselor most of the time. When it comes to Jason though, that's where the real fun is because there's just so much stuff to do. So Jason has his own abilities. He can morph and go across the map really fast. He can do like a quick thing where you're just moving in a straight line and you can control it and get to a certain area. He could sense when people are in buildings if they're making too much noise, and of course he can kill people. And that's the best part of playing as Jason, is the variety of deaths. There's area deaths where you're in certain spots and you can use environment to kill people, or you can use your good old machete and chop them up. And honestly, playing as Jason is really, really fun. Your mother is talking to you the whole time, egging you on, come on, Jason, kill them all. And it's very satisfying playing as Jason. There's a lot of strategy involved. You have to think about what these other players are doing on the map. And I had a blast playing as Jason. I haven't gotten to play as Jason as much as I would like to, but when you do play as Jason, it's very satisfying. And what I like about the game is it pushes you to keep playing, because honestly, the content is pretty limited right now. You're only getting 3 different scenarios from different Jason Voorhees, from different Friday the 13th movies, and that's pretty much it, you know? So content-wise, the game is very limited, but there is an XP meter, and the way this XP meter works is you can build up your characters. So the camp counselor side of things, you can build up these characters to have different abilities to where, you know, they can crouch, and so when you're crouched, you know, you make less noise. There's an ability that you can even make less noise, so Jason won't be able to sense you. On the Jason side of things, you can use abilities to unlock new kills and whatnot, so that's really cool too. It does help you keep playing through the game. Now, unfortunately, the game itself is very buggy right now. There have been many people who have not been able to play. I've actually had people tell me that they've been trying for 5 or 6 hours to get into a match to no avail. Luckily for me, I've been able to play for pretty much 5 hours straight, and I've been able to get into matches. The lag has been very minimal, but there is tons of graphical glitches in the game. There, you know, a lot of clipping and whatnot. It's definitely, it feels like a beta. And that's the feeling you get throughout the whole game. I've had menus freeze on me where I've had to reset the system and stuff like that. And it's, I wouldn't necessarily say rushed, but I would say that the team developing the game, which is a very small team, may have been a bit overwhelmed. There was actually a time today on Friday where the complete servers went down and they had to reboot the whole infrastructure. And since there is no single player campaign right now that will be added at a later date for free, you're pretty much stuck playing online. So there are no AI matches, which I think would have been a tremendous help to the game, and it would have helped ease in new players to the way the game works, because the game just sort of throws you in there and you're just figuring it out on yourself. There is a how to play section, but it's a lot of reading and whatnot. A standard tutorial probably would have been good for this game. So is Friday the 13th worth it? I honestly think it depends. As a big fan of the franchise and the movies and whatnot, I have been enjoying myself, but the glitches and, you know, the game randomly freezing and seeing so many people not being able to play the game online, I don't think it's necessarily worth it at this time. Maybe in a month or two when they add some more patches and whatnot and they add more content to the game, it'll definitely be a more fleshed out experience, and I think a lot more people will enjoy it. If you're a diehard fan of Friday the 13th, if you can deal with bugs and glitches and essentially being a beta tester, then go for it, because I have been having fun with the game and what's there. I just wish there was more. I wish the game was more polished, and I hope the servers continue to improve, because honestly, I think this could end up being what Evolve wanted to be, which is just an online multiplayer game that's really different and really unique. And I have to tip my hat to the developers of the game, because they've pretty much nailed the Friday the 13th atmosphere. They just need to put in more content and make the game more stable. So let me know if you've been playing Friday the 13th in the comments section down below and what you think about the game. Thank you guys for checking out this review. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and leave me a comment down below. I'll catch you guys next time.
RGT 85. RGT 85. RGT 85.